Hey, what's up guys? It's Konobandit here. I'm here to talk about why you should run these cards in a Trickster deck. I know Trickster 7 came out on TCG. I know a lot of us have been watching to see what it's been doing in OCG, and it's been doing a lot of great things. It's for one, you guys know, if you don't, it's a burn deck. Basically the main niche of the deck is that each of the monsters that they have, if your opponent does something as, say, use a spell card or use an effect, or if they draw a card, you take burn damage for that. Not you who's playing the Tricksters, but your opponent. And your field spell that you have as well will also make your opponent take more effect damage when they take the effect damage. So you're like hitting them a little bit for a little damage, but there are strategies and specific cards that will work with this whole archetype, and I think this is why I'm going to give you reasons why you should run these specific cards in these decks. So obviously you run the Trickster cards. There's 3 main Trickster monsters right now. There's going to be 1 Link monster coming out in Code of the Duelist for Tricksters, and you want to run those, of course. You want to maximize on that. You obviously want to run they just announced it as a secret rare card, Trickster Reincarnation. Basically it makes your opponent banish their whole entire hand and then draw cards based off how many cards they banish that way. That means they're taking the burn damage for drawing the cards, right? So other than that, I don't know if you guys know the card Present card. Present card seems like a ridiculous card. It's your opponent discards their whole hand and then they draw 5 cards. But you wouldn't want to really do that in any aspect in general, because you don't want your opponent to get more cards. You don't want them to have cards in your graveyard. But with Tricksters, they're drawing these cards, and you can even set up, if you drew this like perfect hand, you drew 3 present cards, 2 Trickster Reincarnations, you can literally draw all of that and then keep doing that as your opponent draws the cards. Just keep going. Yes, they can use their hand traps. Yes, they can use their quick play spells. But if you're doing that to them, you're making them take all that burn damage, and it's going to be a ridiculous amount of burn damage. So Present card's the first card I would say. Other than Present card, we have Honest. Now, all the Tricksters are light and they're Fairies. So if you're afraid your Trickster monster is going to get attacked, send your Honest out and you're protected for that turn. Another way Honest is also used, and this is going on to the next card, is with Ties the Brethren. So since one of the Trickster monsters is a level 4 light Fairy, you can use Ties the Brethren with that Trickster monster and send out a Honest, and then you can also send out the Light Barrier statue, and that'll keep your opponent, that makes a little like anti-meta, like you're locking your opponent out from their special deck, and that's just really good. And then even when you special summon the what is it called, the Honest with that effect, you get the Honest back in your hand, and then you can use it to protect your monsters the next turn. So after Ties the Brethren, this might seem a little funny. This is just like win condition, like in a way, like kind of like Cowboy. Got Cowboy. There's a card called Firecracker, and I would only run this at 1, but it's a card that you just discard during any time of the game, and your opponent takes 1,000 damage. If you're like, oh, my opponent's so low, like this doesn't really matter, I have the Firecracker in my hand, toss the graveyard, and your opponent's dead. People maybe we'll start hearing Firecracker for game, but I doubt it. But that's a little spicy tech that I like, and I think it'll make Tricksters a little more interesting and a little different from casual builds that a lot of people are going to be having. 2 draw cards that I like that would work very well in Tricksters is, for one, Dark World Dealings. I know your opponent gets to draw a card, but that's the point. You want your opponent to draw cards in order for them to take the burn damage, and it also lets you discard a card. And there are Trickster cards that work together in that if you have a Trickster in the graveyard, you can bring it back out and just continue going on your plays. Same with Into the Void. Like, we run a lot of spells, we run a lot of traps in this deck. At most, I think with the monster count, you're running 3 of each of the mains, maybe one of the main ones. There's 3 of them, and so that's 7. You're gonna run like 1 Barrier statue, maybe 1 Firecracker, 2 Honest. You're not going to be running a lot of monsters. It's more of the spells and the traps. So you're going to be able to use Into the Void to draw your extra card and then get rid of all those cards that you just have to, or else you have to discard it. But if you have to discard a monster, like I said earlier, even if a card's in the graveyard, you can bring it back on one of the cards. Lastly, this might be a little funny, but there's a card, Bistro Butcher, guys. I'm gonna say this right now. You might think I'm crazy, but Bistro Butcher, when you attack your opponent, they draw 2 cards. Now, if your opponent's like at the last of their health, you send out the Bistro Butcher and they're like, what is going on here? You hit them for 17 and they're like, okay, like, I draw 2 cards, great, I get to draw. Oh wait, but you're getting burned for drawing those cards. And that's just, I just think that's a little spicy tech that could work well with the deck. I know it sounds ridiculous, guys, but I've been looking at Trickstars. I'm so excited for the Trickster deck coming out. And basically, anything else that does synergy, I'd say any cards that let your opponents draw will help out with that. But the ones I said are my personal favorites. You can do hand destruction if you want. You can do if there's another, you can do counter traps that make your opponent draw. Now I think those are a little bit slower than actually using like the present card Trickster Reincarnation combo, but I think that would be good as well if you want to change it up a little bit. And one last thing I could say to help out for link summoning, just in general, guys, invest in the Droll and Lock birds, because with link summoning coming out, I know we see this a lot now, people searching for cards, but I think now that Droll and Lock bird is going to be even better than Ash Blossom, Ghost Ogre, because of how much searching we're going to have to do in this deck. Like even with the Cyber deck that just came out, and we're going to be getting support that lets people, like they want Cybers to be good, so I bet they're going to come out with a Rhoda for that, and you don't want people to draw their cards. So the Droll and Lock bird really shuts down plays, guys. But that's all I have to say about the Tricksters right now. Look forward to a deck profile when Code of the Duelist comes out, and this is Konobandit signing off. Peace.